Very pretty. Boop. Hello everyone, and we are back for the third day in a row, and hopefully I'm gonna get some actual videos of me riding today. Well, I was wrong. We're actually riding Spirit today. So he is a great lesson pony, but I've never actually ridden him, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Is partially groomed. Platymus. Platy. Well, here he is partially groomed. He's very pretty. Boop. We are on the horse, just chilling. In our walk warm-up, we're gonna do flexions and then a lot of transitions just so I can get to know him a bit better.
First, I want to apologize for this camera angle. It's not terrible, but we do have the black bars on the side of the screen. That first jump was okay. Most of this is just going to be more of a technical exercise. That's why the jumps are so low on him. This is a square turn, and then it's a bounce. And we did pretty okay. Square turn again out of it. Then I need to bring him back because we're turning to this fence, which was new to the exercise. We turn, got our lead, and then we circle back around to do the whole thing the other way. Because, you know, good horsemanship, what you do one way, you need to do to the other way. As you can guess by his gaits, he is a hunter extraordinaire. Definitely not my type of gaits. I'm not a hunter girl, but it was a very good and valuable experience getting to ride him and doing these little technical things. Even though you can see I do have some minor mistakes, overall, I'm pretty happy with how it went. And so we jump this itty-bitty cross rail, and we kind of biff it, but he's good. He's a very good boy. He's a very well-seasoned lesson pony. So he's like, as long as you keep your leg on, I will go. Now we're coming around to the final jump, which is an itty-bitty 2-foot vertical. But we look super cute going over it, and he takes it perfectly.
Well, we just finished our lesson. He's tired, and we did pretty good considering it was my first ride on him, and he's a little rough sometimes. I mean, when he doesn't know you, he's kind of like, who are you? Meh. But he was very good. Here we are, all done. He's very proud of himself. We did not do as good as I had hoped, but we didn't do as bad as I thought I was gonna do. He's a horse that, like, knows he's a lesson horse, you know? So he'll try and convince you to be like, oh, I can't trot away, I can't canter, I need a whole trot lap to canter, which I definitely fell for and should know better. But it went okay. We actually ended up jumping, and he's a very cute jumping horse. He's won derbies and mini derbies and eck medals. And he's just such a cutie. Oh, he's so big too. Like, look at that head. Look at that face. It's huge.
So I was trying to take a video about him in the cross ties, and I accidentally picked slow-mo. So you can see a little bit of that right here.
And here we are at one of the many wash racks. As you can see, he's very cute, and we're gonna hose him off because he's a little sweaty, and it looks cold, but it's actually like 65, so it's not that bad.
And here is me just sped up and washing him off because he was very sweaty, as you can kind of see, and I wanted him to be nice and clean for the next person who got on him.
Now I'm just gonna sweat scrape him dry, and then he's gonna get cookies. I just got a call that my horse is partying in turnout. So we have to go get him immediately because he's not supposed to be doing that. He is. Oh, I just took a big drink. Yes, I know. You want it? Good boy. Good horse, yes. Bye, bud. Okay, next we have to clean up the cross ties, like the good lesson kid that we are. You're going to start by cleaning the tack. First, we're gonna take it off and wipe his bit. Make sure that's all clean for him next time. And then we're gonna give the rest of the leather a quick soap down. That is done and looking much better. Okay, all of the tack that goes on this hook is done and cleaned for the next person. Now we're gonna move on to the saddle. Saddles stay pretty clean, so I'm just gonna hit it with some conditioner so it's nice and grippy for the next person. The saddle got light conditioning and is now put away, so we just need to deal with his boots. These are nasty, as you can see, so we're just gonna brush them off and then give them a light sponging with some of that water and hope for the best. They're not perfect, but they're much better. I mean, this is what they looked like originally, so I think they're pretty good. It is very, very important that you clean your tack every single time you ride, especially if it's not yours to begin with, because no one wants to come out and then have to clean your tack for you, and it's gonna make people dislike you quite a bit. So I always do my best to clean it as well as I can, so maybe the next person who uses it will have a better time because they won't have to put on some nasty, sweaty old stuff.
So this was a hack that I was allowed to do on him, and you can kind of see a little bit of my process with this horse. So he has a bit of a harder mouth. That's why I do a lot of flexions with him, and you're gonna see me acting what I would describe as rough in the beginning. This is because I am very clear about my expectations with this horse, especially because I know he can do it and I know what he's capable of. When he does not give me those things, and I know I'm asking correctly, I make it very clear what the expectations are. That way, I don't have to fight him about it later in the ride. He was also trying to pretend to spook at things, but, you know, he lives here, he's been here before, and nothing's changed. So you'll see me do what I did here, which is stop and just make him face it, so that way he can take a breath and realize, hey, it's actually not scary. Because yes, obviously, you need to work through those things, but I think it's important to let your horse see it and understand that yes, something can happen over there. Someone can take a horse's blanket off and throw it over a fence, and then it makes a weird noise, but we're still going to keep trotting. But I also want to give that autonomy, especially in the beginning of the ride, to look at things, that way they don't become problems later on in the ride. As you can see here, that's basically what I'm doing, just circling around and making him stop to look at the things when he tries to move away from it. I gave him a quick pat there as well, just to show him that it's okay, and I'm going to support him through whatever's concerning him. He has a very cute trot. Hunters like to keep their head kind of up and out. Here I'm just asking him to round up a little bit because that's how I prefer to ride my horses. It's not because I don't trust him or anything like that. It's just how I've been trained as a rider. But because he is a hunter and he's like, but I stick my nose up and out, we do have to compromise a little bit on his frame and stuff like that. Of course, I have done the hunters before. If you look at some of my previous videos with Goose, we were mainly doing the hunters and the Eck because we wanted to keep him at a lower level as opposed to jumping higher, and we wanted to focus on slowing down. So while I have dabbled in the hunters before, it's definitely not my main forte. I'm going to start getting a little lighter with my hands now that we're getting deeper into the ride. And as you can see, I've definitely compromised on the frame, but he's moving forward, he's moving off my leg, and he's moving off my aids, so I'm not as concerned about it. Because of that work I did in the beginning with asking him to look at the thing and doing flexions, as you can see, what was once a problem area is fine for now. A little later in the ride, he will spook down at that far corner. I'm not 100% sure if I have it on video, but when it is a genuine spook, of course I don't punish him, I simply give him a pat, we do a circle, and go by it again, and he doesn't care because the scary thing is gone, and we continue with our ride. It is important that you recognize when things are a fake spook or an excuse not to do work and get distracted versus a genuine, oh my god, I didn't see that spook. Because horses are prey animals and we can't fault them for their instincts. The next thing I wanted to work on was moving forward into my hand into a downward transition. As I mentioned before, he's a lesson pony, so he doesn't get asked to do this a lot. I'll touch on that more, but real quick on this short side, look at that gorgeous frame we get into. So pretty. as I was saying, he doesn't get asked to move forward into his downward transitions a lot because he teaches beginners, and they don't understand how to do that. They're just trying to figure out how to sit on a horse and not die. So whenever I sit on beginner lesson horses, I try and press the buttons that I know don't get pressed as much, but should get pressed every now and again just to remind them, like, hey, this is something you know how to do. You know, this is your job. And it's good for him. It's good for the health of his back and his muscling. Not that he has bad muscling. As you could see in the previous videos, he has quite a bit of top line. But it's always good to just work out the muscles in different ways, in my opinion. And I know it's something I can do, so that's why I choose to do it. I was starting to get stressed in here because there was about 7 or 8 horses in this ring, and some of them were young or had behavioral issues. So I was like, okay, I would just like to finish this ride and get out of here. He was fine. It was more my own anxiety. Anyway, we are going to pop up to the canter. Of course, I ask for a trot to canter on the first time, just because it's a nice way to ask him to go into the canter. We're just warming it up. And then we're going to trot again. And then I'm going to ask for a walk to canter because I know he can do them. And we get the walk to canter just fine. Because it was my first time asking, that's why I allowed the trot to canter. But then I brought him back and I was like, hey, actually, we are going to do a walk to canter because I know you know how to do that. Anyway, and then we just canter around for a little bit, and then I bring him back down because it's not the canter that we have issues with. It's more getting him up into the canter because sometimes he likes to trick children and be like, but I can't go walk to canter. So it was mostly the transitions that we were working on. He also convinced me of this a little bit in our first lesson. So I was also like, no, we're going to get this down. And we did. So I turned around and started trotting the other way because I'm like, okay, the other way was pretty good. We got some nice transitions and I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go the other way. So the first way that I went was actually the harder way for us because my left leg is much weaker, so I can't support him as much. But I like to tackle the harder things first because it makes the easier things almost like a reward or a break, and I just don't have to worry about it as much. And here we go up into the other canter. As you can see, we got the lead. It was fine. We did a couple trot steps, and I let him canter for a little bit just to say, yep, we're cantering, good boy. And then we're going to trot for a little bit and walk, and then we're going to ask for the canter again. Now, as you can see, he's getting a little pumped. He's the type who has done a lot of flat classes, so he kind of gloms onto the horse in front of him sometimes. So I was also working against that as well. He doesn't do anything dangerous, he just is like, wee, we're going, because, you know, horses are herd animals, obviously. Anyway, so I took a big walk break, and that's why we had another trot step to canter, but I was just pretty happy with him not going after any of the horses in front of him and trying to join them, even though I could feel that he wanted to. He was a very good boy, and he knows he's not supposed to work with the other horses, so having him work solo and having him have that kind of control and that self-control of like, I know I'm not supposed to do this, I was really proud of him because he's fine with that. He does that normally, but a lot of horses I've been on don't do that. Anyway, there was another horse coming into the ring, so I said, okay, we're done, let's leave. And I'm pretty happy with how it ended, and I think it ended on a really good note.
Thank you so much for watching my video all the way through. This is the end of the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you're interested in my journey, I like to do a lot of cross training. I'm an eventer, as I mentioned in the video, but I do like to ride a lot of horses of different disciplines. So if you're interested in that, subscribe down below. If you have any questions about what I said or any comments, obviously comment. I love reading them. And I just want to thank y'all again for watching till the end of the video. And I want y'all to remember, it's dangerous, so don't die out there.